Hello all. So we can start our section after 8:30. So there are 5 more minutes is there, and after that we can start our section. Okay. 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 So it is a continuous section. So we have covered the basic to advanced concept in JavaScript in the past before week 5 days. Okay. So in that I have left out the project work. So how to manipulate with the DOMs and the DOM works that has been left out, right? So that has been covered. I said that on Saturday we have a boot camp that we going to cover it for 8 hours. So for the next 4 hours, I take it the JavaScript portion. So in that last 2 hours I covered all the DOM concept. Okay, so if you are a student that you are watching from the beginner JavaScript from the last Monday itself, okay, so you can, if you have any doubts in DOM or particularly about how the DOMs works and all, you can verify our 8 hours of bootcamps is there, and in that last 2 hours I covered about the DOM. Okay, so I think not 2 hours, it's about 1.5 hours, and we covered a lot of things, and also that I show you, and a lot of things, and also we have developed a website, develop open with code. Okay, just a minute. I think now my screen is visible, right? So 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 this is for the students who has been who has been come for the last 5 days of workshop. Okay, so this is what we have done in the Saturday. Okay, so in Saturday I have covered all the works about DOMs and all, and see, lots of work has been done, like form validation is done, and some of the work of DOMs that also has been done. Okay, so you can check it out that video. If you have any doubts in DOM, you can ask it in the upcoming sessions also. Okay, so this is like a continuous section. Okay, so and these are all the work we have already done. Okay, so and today's upcoming 5 days, what we're going to learn means we're going to learn about the advanced concepts, like what are the advanced concept, and one concept like what is today what we're going to learn means today we're going to learn about like what is asynchronous, and what is like promises, what is callbacks, and all those things, like what is asynchronous JavaScript particularly. Okay, so that is what we're going to learn today. And for the upcoming classes we're going to see about all about the ES6 classes, and we're going to see about prototypes and inheritance, and then we're going to see about classes, closes, hoisting. So there are so much of advanced things out there in JavaScript. That is what we're going to learn and in the upcoming 5 days. Okay, so today we're going to start with async and what is asynchronous JavaScript, what is async and await. At the end we're going to see about how async and await all those things work. Okay, so and also for all other boot camps, here also we have our we have our attendance form at the end of our live classes. Okay, so after completing your live classes, you just wanted to fill our attendance form to get our live classes. Okay, so live certificates. Okay, so I think all the participation all the members who have participated in the beginner level JavaScript program, you will get your certificate through email from the team of TWD. I know that, and that is the same process is going to be happen. And if you are new to TWD, then no problem. Okay, so if you have a beginner level and if you know some of them basics knowledge in JavaScript, that is enough to take area on this advanced and mastery sections. Okay, so that is what we're going to do now. Okay, so just wait for 1 more minute and just we move on to the code. Okay, oh, this is also going to be take from scratch level. Okay, this is also we going to take from the scratch level. Okay, so there is no like there is no hint for the past 5 days. Okay, so I just want, if you're new for JavaScript, don't come here, just go for the past 5 days and watch it thoroughly. And if you know the syntax, how JavaScript syntax works and how the code is working, it is fine enough. It is fine enough to take classes now. Okay, okay, so it's time's up, so we go and start our programming. Okay, so for that I just going to use an JSBin. So what is meant by JSBin? It's like an online debugger, or we can say that online compiler. It's like an online code editor where we can able to work and see our results here. Okay, so and we know what is console and what is the purpose of console and also on so things, right? So that is what we're going to so we don't cover all those things now. Okay, so what we're going to do, I just go for the Google and open my JSBin. Okay, so it is available freely. You just type JSBin, and there we can, you code your code here, and you can see the output in your console directly without go for the chromes, and every time you don't want to check out in click right click inspect and all those things, just avoid it. Okay, so for practicing section I just going to use this. Okay, so what is the next I just going to cover is I just going to start with the async JavaScript. Okay, so what is, if anybody know what is asynchronous JavaScript, can any clues that is anybody know? So from the live of people's that students is that, is anybody know what is async JavaScript? And if you're familiar with asynchronous JavaScript, you can type like anything, like if I whether I know or yes anything, just make this live section more interactive, then it's could be good for all the students. Okay, okay, if you know, just comment it off here. I just go and write and I explain what is that. If you don't know, don't worry about that. Okay, so what today we're going to learn, and before that I just want to tell one more thing is that, and the things we're going to learn now, it's like an little heavy to understand. Okay, so it is little heavy concepts that we need to understand. There are more theoretical classes is there. Okay, so there are more theoretical classes is there, and we need to look out, if you go and look into how it works, how what is the background of it, and how what is the theoretical part of it, and that is not possible in this workshop. Okay, so we're going to see about more practical. Okay, so more practically, and what all are the scenarios and what all are the practical ways that set interval, set timeout. Yeah, actually that's, it's good, it is a good example that it is an asynchronous JavaScript function, set interval and set timeout, and that is what we're going to see now, how this work. Okay, so it's a good, happy to see that response from the viewers. Okay, so thanks so much. Okay, so and what is it? For example, if Ankit says that we know if asynchronous JavaScript, it's not about like set interval, set timeout, it's an asynchronous. Okay, so that is a definition for asynchronous JavaScript. That is what we're going to see now. But what I'm saying, if you keep on focusing on how the set interval and how the set timeout work in the background, there is a lot of depth theory in the backend. Back work is there. Okay, so like we want to see about what is event loops is there, what is the purpose of callback queues, what is the purpose of micro callbacks, what is the purpose of like how the JavaScript engine is working in the browser, and we need to work with the what is set time, what is set interval. That is not a part of JavaScript. It is not a part of JavaScript, it is called as web APIs. Okay, so like how we use other APIs, same like set timeout, set interval also comes under the web API concepts. Okay, so there are so much of things in the theoretical part. Okay, that is we are not going to touch. Okay, so because we touch, that means 2 years is not enough to complete JavaScript. Okay, so this advanced JavaScript is focused mainly on the practical section. And if you want to be a JavaScript master, if you want to be a JavaScript pro developer in JavaScript, then it's need at least 2 years. Okay, so minimum 2 years to complete that. Okay, so if you want to be a developer, like web developer, and JavaScript for development is easy, but learning a programming language, the core programming language, is not that easy. Okay, so that is what I want to clear from my side. Okay, so that is what we're going to see, and we're going to see how this asynchronous and what is asynchronous, and how this asynchronous going to work in the practical side, and how can we get that. Okay, so and at the end of that, we're going to see that the upgradation of the asynchronous, like starts from the promises, starts from the callbacks, and then promises, and then we go and see about async and await, and that's what we're going to see about. Okay, so let's come to the point. What is asynchronous? So mostly like how Ankit says, like we can say at set time and set interval. Yes, of course, it is also comes under the concept of callbacks, right? So set interval and set timeout, it is also comes under the concept of callbacks. And what we say asynchronous means, like callbacks, promise, and asyncs await, or deal with some asynchronous data. So what is purpose of using asynchronous? And you people thinking like some of them are telling that JavaScript is a asynchronous programming language. Is it true JavaScript is an asynchronous programming language? Can anyone tell me like whether it is true or false? Is JavaScript is an asynchronous language or synchronous language? Can anyone tell me in the comment? Hope I get a reply. So it takes some time delay, so I just carry on. Okay, so in basis when JavaScript, it is a synchronous single threaded blocking. It has a blocking concept. Okay, so because it is a synchronous and single thread and blocking. So what is meant by synchronous, what is meant by single thread, what is meant by blocking? Let I explain. Okay, so what is meant by synchronous? Sanjay Yadav, synchronous. It's synchronous. Okay, I think some spelling mistakes is there. And Sanjay Yadav, hope to see you again in our next 5 days class. Thank you for here. Okay, so what is meant by synchronous means JavaScript can able to do one operation at a single time. That's what it do. Okay, it's do one operation in one time. Okay, it will not, for example, what I can say, it's like a queue manner. For example, if you go for a bank and if you see an like visitors like us, and we go, what we do, we go one by one, right? So there is not multiple requests are taken, only one request is taken and this working on that, and then response is sent, and that's how the synchronous works. And that is not, that's so good. Why I'm saying that? Because it takes time, right? For example, if I just given real world example. Okay, so how many of you know APIs? How many of you know APIs? Let's say, how many of you know APIs? Don't give the expand form of that. It is like application programming interface. Just say something like what is meant by APIs. Okay, so how many of you know APIs? Oh, APIs is nothing but it's a part of web is already done. For example, if I think all of you know about Zomato, Swiggy, and all those things, right? So if I was working as a developer in Zomato or Swiggy, okay, so if I want to, oh, there is a feature called tracking our foods, right? So we have a feature in Zomato or Swiggy apps, we have a tracking our apps, right? So what is the tracking our apps? It's that Zomato or Swiggy developer develop it from the scratch? The answer is no. Okay, so every time everyone using some features from the scratch means the web world becomes so critical, right? So that is how the lifesaver comes, that API. So that is called as user interactions with server. Yeah, of course. So that is like, for example, there is something built already and it is like a package, it is that, like for example, if I want to add a payment integration, okay, I don't want to build the code from the scratch level itself. It is already built and it is ready to provide. Okay, so what we can do, we can go for the service provider and we get that by using some keys and all those things. Okay, so we get that, what we get that API and we can use it in our website. Okay, if I want to add and tracking website, or if I want to add a Google map in my website, what I can do, I can use Google map API to my website, and what I can do, I can use that. I don't want to build every code from the scratch. So that is the potential of API. Okay, so now I come to the point. So there is an already built and webs is there, that is called as an API. So APIs is nothing but a code that can be, it is an code that can be transferred from one part to another, like my code to another server. Like I can use it in my website and someone can use it in someone's website, like that. Okay, so it can be transfer. Okay, everyone like this? Okay, thank. Okay, so next, what? So that is called as APIs. Okay, so if I want to, so consider, if I want to work with Google Maps, okay, there are so much of data is there, right? There are so much and so much of data is there. if I want to load the data, whether it takes time or not, it takes some time, right? So that is the main key here we want to note. If I want to load like the thousands like lakhs and lakhs of codes is already there, and I want to use it my code, if something I'm using that, I want to fetch all the data to my what, to my code, so then only I can able to use that code in my website, right? So that is the process. So if I want to fetch all the data, what will happen? It takes some time, right? It takes some time. It's take like 4 or 5 minutes, or even it takes 5 to 6 minutes, like that. It takes some times, and even some codes are go with 2 to 3 seconds, like that, right? So in that cases, like think look like that. If I have a synchronous JavaScript, I want to load a data, and what happened until this loading happening, what will do, all the other code, it's keep on waiting. Let I explain. Okay, like I hope the screen will show to you, right? So okay, so okay, just give a minute. Okay, so consider this is single threaded, which means it handles only one way of, there is no multiple persons are there, only one person is there, and he is doing all the work. Okay, so what happens if I want to load more data? Okay, so there is a time is taken, right? So like we can say 5 seconds, 5 seconds of time is there, and it is taken, right? So, and if it is wait and it is blocking that, right, it is blocking after that code only, what we want to do, and all the other upcoming codes who has to run, right? So what it literally doing, it just blocking the way of other codes to run, right? So this is synchronous. So this is not that much good when you are working with that. Okay, so there comes a concept called asynchronous. So what asynchronous do means, if you don't want to wait for anyone, okay, so here you don't want to wait for anyone. If there is a process that is fetching is happening, okay, it should happen, come on, come in the queue, okay, go on the queue and wait for in the callback queues. Okay, so you can wait there, and my duty is I want to render the code. So what I can do, I just started to write the code, so the callbacks, so the JavaScript code will not will get blocked. Okay, so what happens, so once it takes some function that takes some time, means it doesn't wait for that. Okay, so this process is take, and next coming things are taken. Okay, so in that cases, what we can do, in several cases we need something to be done, after that only particular function has to be erased. Okay, so in that cases we can use some callbacks, promises, and async await to, after running this code, we can give the output. Okay, so that is what it is going to. So if we go with the this is just simply like practical. Okay, so the thing is that simple. In synchronous, we are not able to handle like so much of we want to wait, like okay, so if there is some time is that we need the upcoming course has to wait, that is called synchronous. In asynchronous, it is not like that. You can consider asynchronous how the API works. The API is like, for example, the API is also working like an restaurant in a server. It goes and take the code and come, the same like asynchronous also like restaurant in a server. So it takes the order and give it to the chef, and it goes for the next, and he do his work. Okay, so once the code ready, what he will do, it takes and comes in, put it in our website. That is what do. Okay, let's go and do our practical things and get more understanding. All right, okay, okay, okay. So right now what I'm going to do, I just going to create an array. I hope that all of you know how to create an array and all. So I just going to create an array that names as post, and for creating array we need to have this like double square bracket, and inside that I just going to create an object. So in the first index I just going to create an object, and I just going to say uh, like, so this is going to be the key. So I just going to say title, and here I just going to say the title of this website is JS basic, like this. Okay, so the next thing what I'm going to do, I just going to give a summary. Okay, consider this is like a data, like how we fetch in APIs. So the APIs is also comes in like JSON format and so on things, right? So consider this is like some data that we are providing. Okay, so this post is for JS basic. Okay, so the same thing what I'm going to do, I just going to create an another. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I just going to paste it here, and I just going to give advance, and I just make this as to add advance, and here I do a mistake that it's not semicolon, it should be a comma. Okay, so that is the thing we have done, I think. Okay, so what I did, I just created an array with I just created an array with two objects. Okay, so I think everyone fine with that. And I just created an array with two, inside there is two object is there. So right now what I'm going to do, I just going to create a function. Okay, so I just going to create a function, and here what I'm going to do, I just going to say function name get post, and here I just going to open, and here comes the concept of set timeout, like the people, I think Ankit said what is asynchronous. Okay, so I just going to say I want to run this code for a particular time delay. Okay, so for that what I going to do, I just going to use the set timeout. Okay, so what I going to do, so before getting into that, I just going to say set, there is a method is there, but it's not a method in JavaScript, it is an API. Okay, so usually we say that it is a method. Okay, so don't get to the concept, that it will confusing a lot. Okay, so I just using the arrow function, and here what I going to do, I just going to say what's going to be run. So here I think you know how the set timeout function syntax is there. So this is a set timeout this is the set timeout syntax, and if you want to, I just miss out the syntax. Okay, so inside this, the first parameter, we have two parameters, and the first parameter is to the function has to run. Okay, so here we going to write the function, and here we give the number of second, that has the number of second, how much second we need to delay that function. Okay, so here I just going to write a function, and this is called as flat arrow function, and that is also we covered in the basics itself. Okay, so it's very simple. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I just create an variable, let just say output, I say simply like this. Okay, it is empty variable. Okay, so it is like empty variable, and I going to add whatever the thing I going to looping here, I just going to add it here. I think Sanjay is asking me, right? So how the for each loop and all works, and we have covered it in the basic level itself, how the for each loop works and all, we have covered it. And also in the web development 8 hours course, in the next 4 hours of JavaScript I has taken in the Saturday, in there also I have covered all the helper methods and all. Okay, not all the helper methods, I just covered the for each loop as a iterator. Okay, so now let's come to the concept. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I just going to iterate, I just going to fetch the title and also the post, and I want to render, I just want to render as an HTML, and that HTML is going to be stored in the output, and this output is going to display in my console. Okay, let's see how to. So for that I want to loop through it. So for looping through it, I'm going to use an iterator called for each loop. Okay, so I just want to, for using for each loop, I just want to first, I just want to copy the, like just you want to put this, and you need to give a dot, and here you need to call that loop for each. Okay, so for each call, and inside this you need to give what is the function. Okay, the function that's going to be run, and here what I'm going to do, I just going to use the same arrow function. Here I just say post. So what is mean by post? So the post is nothing but it is the argument, it is the parameter. Okay, so if I write a normal function, you can understand. So inside this I just writing a function, and that is has no name, and that is has a parameter, and inside this I'm writing. Okay, so this is how the original syntax if I use the traditional function. But instead of this is like bit confusing. So what I'm going to do, I just going to use the arrow function. So I just going to use the arrow function, and pretty downwards all the syntax, and I just going to say arrow function, and here I just going to say the code to execute. So what I going to do, I just say output. So the variable output is here. So in the output, add. So this is called as assignment operator. I just what I say, add whatever things that coming here, just append that. Okay, so just append that. So for that I just going to use the string, and here what I going to do, I just create an li. Okay, so for creating a tag we need to use this, like you know how the HTML works. So this is an li tag. I'm creating an li tag, and I created an closing li too. Okay, so inside this what I going to do, I just going to fetch this title first. Okay, so fetching something. So right now we are in the array. So right now I want to fetch this. How can I fetch this? So right now we are in the 0th index, that the parameter it takes care, right? So I want to fetch post, and here this title. So what I want to do, I'm going to use the template literals first, and I just going to say post. Okay, so this is the parameter, and that is what it takes here. It is comes here, and what I going to do, post dot first we need to fetch the title, right? So if I say post dot title, what it will do, so first it comes for the iterator comes for here. Now this 0th index we have an access, and we fetched the dot title, post dot title. What happened, this JS basics will be fetched. And next what I going to do, I just after completing this li, I just going to open a paragraph tag, and in this paragraph tag I also add a closing paragraph tag too. Okay, so inside this what I going to do, I just going to add this template detail. So here I going to add the summary. So for adding summary, the same thing, post dot summary. That's it. Okay, so now what happened, what this for each loop do means, so once the loop is executed, this take the first, the index is taken as the I say the post, right? So each and every value in the index is taken as the value, and if I say post or title, for right now it is in the first index, so it's go for the JS basic, and it print next the post is for JS basic, and the iterator again goes for it, and it's go for JS basics, and it comes for JS advanced, and it will print the JS advanced. This is going to be happen. So this is I has put inside the set timeout. So this function is run with a particular delay, right? So this function is going to run with a particular delay. So I want to here mention how much the delay. So here I just going to mention like 1000 millisecond, which means 1 second. It has to run with 1 second delay. Okay, so next what I going to do, next thing what I going to do, I just going to create another function, and here what I going to do, I just say create post like this. Okay, so here I just going to say, I just going to add, I just going to get an parameter. Okay, so I just going to get an argument, and I just going to post it here, and here I just named this as post, and here what I going to do, here also the same thing, I just going to add the set timeout. Okay, so if you get confused, don't worry, I just explain after the end of this video. Okay, so what I going to do, I just do the same arrow function. Okay, so the next thing is, and here what I going to do, I just go into, and we see about array methods, right? So we discussed about what is array methods. Good evening all. So we discussed about array methods, how the push works, and the last come first come last, and easy to remember, all those things, right? So that is what we're going to cover now. So what I going to do, I just going to add, I going to use the push method. So what this push method is going to do, the push method push the push the value, the data in the end of the array. So that is what it's going to cover. So okay, let's discuss how it's going to end. So I just say post dot, and I just going to say push. Okay, so what is post? Post is like this variable, and I want to push something, I want to add and vary, like how we have added two values is added, the same like this, I just going to add another value. So what I going to do, I just going to use the method, and here what I going to do, I just copy this. just copy this and I just going to put here, and instead of JS, what we can say, instead of, we can say JS DOM basic, and here in the summary also JS DOM thing. Okay, so here what I going to do, and I just going to say the time. So here I just say 2000 time. Okay, okay, we have created an loop and all things we have created, and it shows some errors or like, or I think it's take some continuity. Let's check. Okay, fine with this, fine with this, fine with this. Okay, let's run and we check the error. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, okay, bear with me, I will explain it clearly. If you don't understand the code, no problem, I will going to explain. Okay, so and I just say call the create post, and here what I'm going to do, I just so instead of here putting this, I just cut it here. I just cut it here. I just going to pass this as an argument. Okay, so this is going to come here. Okay, so I just going to mention the parameter. Mention the parameter here. Okay, so right now if I just say run, okay, everything is there. Everything is there. And okay, I just in console, I just go for output and I say just run. Just refresh it. Okay, it's, I think it's somewhere. LI, just a minute. Oh, it's not running. Okay, we are going through all of things like unexpected. Okay, it's a backticks, no problem. This is not a problem at all. If I say run, okay, instead if I say just a minute, I just go with like something like let output post dot for each, we put the post and we put the output, and post dot title is there, post dot summary is there, or everything's fine. Okay, that I discuss in my console.log. Let me check whether what happens. Syntax error missing after the argument list. Okay, it's showing me like some error is there. Okay, set timeout interval here, closing, and okay, sorry for that, I just missed out a line. Okay, so after looping through it, what I want to do, I just added it in my output. Okay, so next thing what I want to do, I just want to add it to my document. Okay, so then only it comes there. Okay, so I just missed out this code, that is document. I just say document dot, if you don't know what is document dot or all things, just recover the previous video we have covered. So that is what I missed out. So this, I want to tell where to display this, right? So I want to display it my body. Okay, so I just say display it my body inner HTML. So inner like HTML, and here I want to say the output. Okay, output, and now I just run this code, and that is another error is also there. Document dot post, we have added the post, like we remove this. Okay, we don't want this, and we created an arrow function. In this arrow function we have created an output with an li, and we have post and titles, and we have post and summaries is there. I think so. I think it show. Okay, so summaries is also there. We have ended with something like paragraph and all. And next thing what we have did with the document dot body dot inner HTML and all. We have covered that, and in the create post segment we have created set timeout too, and we have created a callback, and we have created post dot post. We have created 200, and instead of this we remove this console. Now I just refresh and okay. So I think this is the JS bin happened. So this is what JS bin did. Okay. So now I explain clearly. Okay, so what happens means what happens means, so now I just created an array. Okay, so I just created an array. Here you can see we created a function. So this is function is for what? This function want to display the answer. Okay, so this is function is used to display my answer. Okay, so here I just say set timeout. So what the set timeout is going to do, it's going to render the output within a given after a delay. Okay, so that delay is mentioning here 1 second. So if I press here, I need to wait for 1 second, and then only the answer will be displayed. Okay, so that is the reason. Okay, so here what I did, I use post dot for each. So what is this for each loop, for each iterated do? It simply this is a function, arrow function. Okay, it simply takes this function and run over each and every element, each and every indexes values is there, every values in the array, it go and run. Okay, so now there is, here you can notice that how this how we can get the problem when you are working with some asynchronous. Okay, so here you can see this code will be run. Okay, so this code, what happened, this code will run, right? So this set timeout is also, someone says that I just try to include curly bracket for the for each. Okay, Harish, that is not recommended for each. You don't want to include a curly braces and all. Okay, so someone says that, like, I think Ankit. Yes, Ankit says, right? So Ankit says set interval and set timeout, right? So why this set interval, set timeout is also a callback. So what it do means, it runs a particular function after some while, right? So after some while, whenever it needed, it runs, right? So what it do, when I'm doing this asynchronous work, so now you can see that this function will be run, right? So this function is run, and after that, without any delay, this function is going to run, right? So but what is the purpose of this function? So this function, we are adding, what we are doing, we are adding an value, right? So here you can see that an object is added, and this object is go as an argument. Okay, so this object is go as an argument to this parameter, and this parameter is used inside the post.push. So what this push do? So the push add it in the end of the array. Okay, so it goes and add it in the end of the array. So that is what it do, right? So but here you can see after this added only, what I want, after this object is added to the array only, I want to display it in my answer. So that is how it's work. But it is will not work. That what happened, it will wait for 1000, it will just wait for 100 seconds, and it will run. And what happened after that, this is going to be run, and this is pushed after all the output has been rendered in the HTML, right? So this is not we want. So we want right now, what we want a callback. Okay, so here comes the hero, callbacks. So what, whenever we use the set timeout and set interval, we are not able to control that flow, right? So here comes the flow control, like where and where to come. Okay, so that the interval control or flow control, anything. Okay, so here what I'm going to do, after this post, after this function, after this create post function run, after that only what would happen, this goes to and added to the website, and after that only this iterator function has to be work. So what I can do, you can use a callback. How can I use a callback? So you can use a callback by, what is mean by actually a callback is passing a function into an as an parameter, as an argument, as an another function's parameter. Let I explain clearly. So here this is a parameter, right? So here I just going to call callback. You can give any name. Okay, so whatever you want. Okay, so you can give whatever you can give, call, nothing, no worries about that. I just say simply call back to understand that. Now what I did, I just added another parameter. So now whatever the parameter we are giving here, it should be used inside this argument, right? It should be used inside this like code. So then only if we pass any argument, what will happen? So I think you know the flow of function, right? So this argument is going as an parameter value to this parameter, and this parameter what it is doing, it's passing it to this code. Okay, so that is how it works. So now we have a callback as a parameter. Now what we need an argument to pass it. So what I say, what is meant by callback? Callback is nothing but we need to pass a function as an argument to another function parameter, right? So that is what we're going to do. So here what I want, this after this push function, after I added and value to the array, then only I want to display the answer to my output. So how can I do that? I just going to, so this is the displaying output, right? So this is going to be the this is the producing code, and we can say this is the consuming code, and we can see producing code, consuming code much more in promises. That is great. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I just going to cut this. Okay, so cut this, and I'm going to pass this function as an parameter to, and we don't want to give like parentheses and all. Okay, so just go with like we are saying, I just remove this too. Okay, so you just mention the function name, and this function name where it's going to the this argument is going to now here callback. And now what I'm saying, after you are running this push, after this post is pushed and this process is completed, okay, after this callback queue is completed, then come for this next callback queue. Okay, so for that what I'm going to do, I just going to call here, I just going to call the call back as a function. Okay, so now I just run this. Okay, it's automatically run, right? Yeah, run. Here you can see all the three things, the recently we added as a argument, that is also run. If I change to JS, like what we can say callbacks, something like this, and here you can see we wait for a second, and I just say that here you can see JSON callback basics. So now what happens, so if I use the set interval and set timeout, if you go for the theoretical part, it will be tough. If I use this, what happened means this JavaScript will not wait for no one. Okay, so what happened, it will just here it will run this code, and this comes for here, and this code will now it is useless. So now I want to control the flow of the code. So what I'm saying here, run this code first. Okay, and after some while I calling you this function, and in that time you come. Okay, so until that you need to wait in a queue. Okay, so like we can say I'm going for a bank, and I go for the counter, and there is a issue is there. Okay, so before that I'm saying like, okay, wait for a few seconds, I will call you back. So what happens, the person will go and wait and sit in the chair. Okay, so consider the chair as like a callback queue, and who has to be wait, all the callbacks has to be, all the callback function has to be wait in the callback queue. Okay, so after that what happens, and another person comes, and once, and he has the actually the producing code. For example, let us consider you want a 50,000 withdrawal, but the bank is let us imagine the bank doesn't have that much amount. Okay, so he says, sir, wait for a few minutes, and he goes there and wait for a few minutes. Okay, so the next person come and he says, I want to deposit 1 lakh. So now the problem is solved. So what happened? So after deposition of the 1 lakh, so I call that callbacks. So now there is no queue is there, so no code is there to execute. So the event loop is listening to this callbacks, and it is like a gate, and it is waiting and watching the callback queues. And after that, all the code has been executed within a millisecond. What happens? It calls for the callbacks who all are waiting. The waiting list come and execute your code. So that is how I control the flow. So now what I did, this is how the callbacks control the flow. Okay, so this is how actually, can you come on? Good evening, Anand. Okay, so this is how this entire callbacks is running. Okay, so this is how we control the flow. Okay, so this is how its callbacks will run. Okay, so the same thing how we work with the promises. Okay, so we're going to see the same thing how we work with the promises. So this is callback, right? So what I say, if you just remember the description, callbacks is nothing but passing a function as an argument to another function as a in the parameters. Okay, so if you pass an argument, you definitely go for the parameters. So just simply remember passing a function as an argument to another function. That's it. Okay, so this is how the code works. Now what I'm going to do, I just going to use the promises. So you have an callback, then why I want to use the promises? So here comes promises is nothing but it's a better version of callbacks. Okay, so here also we can able to control the flow much more easier. Okay, so that is like an upgraded version come. Okay, so that is like, okay, so now what I'm going to do, I just going to use this callback promises. Okay, so for that I just remove this, and right now this code is ready. And I'm going to use promises here. I think this screen will be not visible to you, right? So what I'm going to do, I just minimize it. Okay, so now you can see the code. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so now I just going to create a promises. Okay, so what are promises? Promises is a little bit upgrade version of the callback. Okay, let us see how the promises work. So the promises have two things. So we can say two parameters is there, and one thing called as resolve, and another thing is called as reject. So if the resolve means it's nothing but it's if we can use the reject for the error, and the resolve is for it is run properly. Okay, once it runs properly, it is works in the then, and if there is an error, it comes in the catch. Okay, so let's see how it works then and catch and all those things. Okay, so let's see. So for that, what I'm going to do, I just going to create a function, and I just going to see how this works. Okay, so I just going to create a function, and I just going to say create the same thing what we have written, the same thing I just going to return here. Okay, so here also we are going to control the flow. Okay, so remember, just listen carefully. And what I'm going to do, and I want to pass this argument, so I definitely need an parameter. So I just going to say post. And another thing is here this is for callback, so we don't want to pass as an argument here, because this is promises, not an callback. So what I'm going to do, I just going to open the function, and here inside this I just going to return the promises code. And what I'm going to do, so the syntax for this, you need to type whatever the thing here coming, you need to return it. Okay, because if you return it, then only the value go for the this is called as producing code. Then after the return, the one value is coming, right? So this value is going for the consuming code. Let us see how it works. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I just going to say about return, and here you need to use the new it is a keyword to use several things. Okay, so I just say promise. Okay, so promise, so it is the newest indication, like it is using an object. Okay, so promise, I just going to say, I just going to construct and producing code. Okay, so here what I say, inside this promises, so promises is nothing but we are like how the what the callbacks is doing. The callbacks is saying like okay, so you are a callback. Okay, so whenever I am calling, so when I am calling, you will come, unless you just want to wait, because I have so much of works to do. Yeah, okay, I want to complete that, then after that I will call you, you will come. Okay, so the same concept for promises. A promises is nothing but I'm saying like I'm promising you. Okay, so I'm promising you, so what will happen, I want to keep that promise. So what is mean keeping that promise? If I promising you means, and the value should come. Okay, so that is it. If I promise you something, and that should, I want to keep that promise and I want to work according to that promises, right? So if I don't do that meet, it is not like, it is not like legitimate, right? So the same like here, if the promises is there means something will become. Okay, so that is the promises. Okay, so right now there is two things that if resolve, one is called as resolve, it is one parameter, and we have reject, and this is one parameter. So what this resolve means, if the answer is common, so the expected answer is produced, so this comes under resolve. If it is if I say promise, something would come. Okay, so if the value is produced here, it comes the resolve. Otherwise what would happen, it comes the reject, which means the error, what is the error is coming here will come. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, so this is resolve and this is reject, and if, and after this parameter, so this is in a function. Okay, keep it in mind, this is in a function, I'm just using the arrow function. So I just going to use the arrow function, and here I just going to call the set timeout. Okay, so I just say set timeout, and inside this I just going to call another function, and here what I going to do, I just going to do this. Okay, so do this, and what I going to do, what we want, we need to pass this to here, right? So for that I just going to call this array, and I just say dot push. Okay, so just say dot push, and inside this I need to pass this, and this is an argument, and this going passing as a parameter here, and this parameter is passing here. So then only this argument is coming here, and this is passing to this, what, this array. Okay, so now this is passed. Okay, so for checking how this resolve and reject work, I'm going to do some other extra things. So what I'm going to do, I just going to declare a variable like const num is equal to 5. I just declare const num is equal to 5, and here what I going to say, num is greater than. Okay, so num is greater than 4, num is greater than 4, num is greater than 4. Then what would happen, I just, this is ternary operator, and we have discussed what is, how the ternary operator works and all. Okay, I hope this you remember that. And I just say resolve will be run, and if there is, this resolve is going to be run here. Okay, so if there is an error here, this error is going to be run here. Okay, so this is how this method is work. Okay, so here I call, this is should be a method. Okay, so here I call this. Okay, so if this condition is true, this resolve will be run, and if this condition is false, what would happen, this not resolve, this reject will be run. This reject method will be run. Okay, so if we get a value, if the resolve method is called, okay, here you can see, if it is called, how the callback we have called, the same like here resolve is called. If the resolve is called means what happened, we can add a then method here, dot then. If the resolve, if the given condition is true, this method will get activated, and here the then method will be work. And in the then method, what I'm saying, if the post.push is successfully completed. Okay, so this is just an extra conditional checking to understand purpose. Okay, so if the post is successfully completed, then what you want to do, so then I'm saying after this, what you want to do, you need to call this function, right? So you need to call this function, so I'm calling this function. Okay, so that's it, very simple, right? So we called this function. So if the code is successfully done after completing this code, and you need to call, then after that you need to call this function, and after this it will display all the answer in my browser. Okay, so I think it will be run automatically. Okay, no problem. Let I check. Check this call back to single L. Yes, it is running automatically. Okay, so it will run successfully. What if it is rejected? Okay, so if I going to reject this, so how can we reject this? We can make this promises to like something like this. Here you can see I say num is equal to 3. Now this is successfully added, but this condition is false, right? So after ternary operator only this will be run, right? So now this is rejected, right? So now what happened, this reject code will be run. So now what I going to do, I just going to, for if in case, so it is a promise, so it should send something. So in case something is rejected, what would happen, you need to catch this. So this is error, then catch method, and if you want to catch this, and you need to, here you can declare a function. So what function I can declare? I'm going to, so instead of declaring a function, you can use the arrow function and all too. So here I just going to use the arrow function. So what I'm going to do, I just simply saying, if there is an error happens, what you would do means document dot body dot, in the body dot inner HTML, what you need to say, like error. You can see that error will be appear. Okay, so it is also like callbacks, but it has some other upgradation is there. Okay, here you can see whatever, if the post is successfully run, either two things has to be happen. So here if I check this, if 3 is greater than 4, it is a false. So what happened? Comes the reject. So once this reject method is called, what happened? Once the reject method is called, this catch method will be work. Once the resolve method is called, then what happened? This then method will be work. So if I make this to like 89, so now this is a true, 89 is greater than 4, so this is true. So now this then method will work, and this is go for the get post, and this method will be run. Okay, so this is how this work. Okay, so I just remove this. Okay, so this is how this work. Okay, so this is the difference between callbacks, and it is, can you call back instead of can you use? Yes, of course, that is the reason. Yes, you can use that. Okay, so you can use promises. So I'm saying that it is an upgraded version of use something. So if you have your mobile and you can you have your old upgradation, and there is a new updation is coming, whether you are not using that, definitely we use that. Same like this, promises is nothing but it is a little upgradation. It is an upgradation of the promises, and it gives some add-on advantages, right? So in callbacks, we just have like, wait, I will call you, so after that it will come. But in promises, you have two options: whether it is paused, we get something; whether it is rejected, we get something, right? So that is how it works. Okay, so now I'm going to say another thing. So you can think like, sir, callbacks is very easy, but promises are a little bit confusing. How many of you feel that? How many of you feeling that? Okay, so let I know in comment. How many of you feeling that? No one. For callbacks, everyone is understandable for everyone. How the callbacks and all works. So sorry, the promises works. Okay, so no problem with that. So right now, what I'm going to do, I just going to use another upgradation. So this callbacks, this promises, this async await is, everything is comes under like it gives some additional features, and it gives some syntactics reduce, all those things. And here you can see the promises a little bit huge syntax, right? So if I write the callbacks, it will have, I think promises is difficult. Yes, I know that, because why? The reason is the syntax of the promises is very big, right? I need to use return, I need to use new, I need to use the promises, I need to give to parameters, and I want to check that, and I want to give like resolve prompt blah blah things, and I want to use the then catch inbuilt with that. There is producing code is there, and promise is difficult to understand. No problem, right? So I think, okay, so let I explain. So promises is nothing but like I think you understand how the callbacks works, right? So the same process the promises is also doing, nothing different. Okay, it is also doing the same process, but it gives some additional features. It gives some additional features. What is nothing but it is gives, here you can see, I'm promising you. If I promised you, I need definitely do something. Okay, so that is the reason. So here, if I use the promises, I definitely want, it gives two things. One is the success meter, and another is the reject meter. If it is success, whatever the function we are calling here, it comes in the then. If it is resolved, it comes in the then. If it is reject, it comes in the catch. That's it. Okay, so by using promises, what we can understand means, so once the particular code is executed successfully, we get that successful. Okay, so we came to know. But in case if there is an error, what would happen? You can't understand what happening, why, what happened, right? So like in callbacks I'm checking, right, what is the error happened, like this, right? Same like, but in if I use the promises, what happened, it clearly indicates you are using some error here, go and check it, right? So that is right. So that has happened in promises. Okay, so if you are pretty difficult in promises, don't worry, here comes the hero of async and await. So this is the final, and oops, it's the time's up. Okay, I just cover it a few things. Okay, so here comes that. So let I explain it. Okay, so the same code I just going to produce it with async and await. Okay, so how can we do that? Means we don't want to touch this resolve portion, and here in async await we don't want to use so many things. So instead of this, what we can use means it comes like in reducing syntactic sewer. Here what we can use means is simply use a keyword called async. So what this async indicates means it's going to return a promise. Okay, so that is what it's going to say, and I just create a function. Okay, I just creating a function, and in this function I'm just called this as in. Okay, so I just naming it, and inside this function what I going to do, I just created a function, simple function, but before the function keyword I just created an what I created an like simply a keyword, that is async. Okay, so next what I going to do, I just going to use this entire parameter, entire calling of the function inside this async. Okay, and here we don't want this error catch method. Okay, we are not going to use this. Okay, so instead of this, what I'm going to do, I just going to say await. Okay, so and after completing this, just a minute, after completing this, I just going to call the get post. So I think if you get confused with this then and catch method, now you can able to understand. Okay, so what I am saying means, I think the screen is visible for us. So I watched many times videos on promises, but I'm not sure, I'm not purely understand. Okay, I can, so here now just listen to this 2 minutes, just listen to this 2 minutes and explain me. Okay, so if you are understanding or not. Okay, so I just explain you. Okay, so here you can see there is a function, here there is a function. Okay, so what is the purpose of this function get post method? What is going to do, it's going to whatever it is in the array, it's going to iterate it and it's going to print here. Okay, what it's going to do, it's going to print here. Okay, but I want another function, and this function what is here it doing means it adding a function. Okay, what it is simply do, it just add, it just what it's doing means it just adding something, right? So it just adding like here you can see post.push is there, so I'm adding a parameter. Okay, so I'm adding a new value to this post. Okay, so for that I'm using promises. So promises is nothing but, just understand the syntax. So you need to give a new keyword, just give a promises, and inside the promises method you need to give a two parameters. Okay, one is resolve and one is for reject. If the code is done successfully, okay, if there is no error, everything will be pakka, then what happened, this resolve method take care. Okay, so this resolve method is going to take care, and if there is an error, is there, and if this error is going to happen, what will happen, this reject method is going to happen. Okay, just simply this is the syntax, you need to give resolve and reject. Okay, and I calling an arrow function, and in this arrow function I added a set timeout. What I do, I just do this like post dot push, and I just say I just want to post that. So this post is here in the parameter, and it is come from this here. Okay, so I'm calling this function and I'm passing this parameter here, and it is come here. After pushing it, there something has to happen, right? So after this post dot push is done, the promises is promised me to send something, right? So he is sending, there is two things there, resolve and reject. So now it is sended successfully. So what would happen, this resolve is happened. So if the resolve is sended means automatically what happened, if I use the then means this whatever here inside the then I'm mentioning, this code will be executed. Okay, if you are using an error method, if it is used an reject method, what will happen, then the catch method will be worked. Okay, so this is the promises. The same thing here also going to work, but instead of using then and catch like then and catch method, error handling methods, what I'm going to do, I just going to use this async and await. Okay, so now what I say simply, so this is, I just remove this. Okay, so now you can just understand. Okay, so there is a promises is there, and post dot push is there, and set timeout is there, and inside the set timeout, here I mentioned, I think I missed out the timing too, right? So yeah, so what I'm going to do, I just give a 2000 delay. Okay, so after running this function, if this running is function is successful, what happens mean, the then and catch method work, that is called as something promises. And here what I'm going to do, I created an async, and there is a function, and init is there, and if I call that function, what would happen here, there is an await is there. So what is this await is going to do, this await is going to wait for this post to be completed, and it change that this async returns everything in a promises, and await change that promises into a value. Okay, so now it comes in value, and then after I just say, like, you can simply here wait, so just want to wait. So this function, after running this function only, you need to run this function. So here say create post, so after running this create post only, what would happen, this create post has been run, so this is would be happen. Okay, so this function dot get post would be run. Okay, so this is what here it need to be run. Okay, so if I say something like this, and here I just say init, and if I save this, okay, wait, get post. Okay, wait for some few minutes to run, because it's take 2 seconds. Okay, I think I missed out that seconds too. Create post. Okay, I just pause an error to here. Sync create post title. I think missed out something. Nothing is there, and in it, I think the JS bin is again making me a trouble. Okay, let's refresh this. Okay, let's check whether it's an error or not. Error. Okay, I think I watch. Okay, so if you have any promises doubt, you just ask me now. Okay, I just find out what happened in here. Function, I think I missed out any spellings or not. I think that is await is here, create post is here, something like get post is here, and function we have covered the create post, resolve, reject, set timeout, nothing has happened. And this async function, and we have declared a function. I think this is happens because of the JS bin, because everything is fine. It is also displaying me an answer. Clear, run. Not in console, yeah. Any doubts? No, just a minute. Okay, so I just say, okay, sorry for that. It's my mistake. Get post. Okay, so now it works. So now what happens? The same thing. Once the resolve, so it just, okay, so just understand this part. So after this post dot push, happens, I'm saying that something would happen, right? So here we can give, like, we can remove this if this is success. This is I just added for an understanding purpose. Okay, so if the post.push is successful, I'm saying what? I'm saying what? Run this resolve like this. Okay, so if this resolve is done, what happened? This code will be executed and will be run. In promises, in case if it is not properly, okay, so I can give it in a if else class something or that, and I can say that if it is not properly, what I can say, reject that, and that reject what it will be go means it will go for the catch method and it will be run. Okay, so this is all about controlling the flow. Okay, so it's all about controlling the flow. So I written a function here based upon it is written first, right? It is written first. So since it is written first, it will not executed first. That is not correct. So I want to decide which one come first, and after that which one come, right? So I'm a manager and I want to say who comes first and who comes second. So that is what this callbacks and promises and async awaiters do. And if you are something like pretty difficult in doing promises, go for async and await. And I'm going to say that the real world use. So here I just give and some normal example. In the next class, I just going to use that real world example. And in that real world example, we're going to fetch an API by using async and await, and you can understand that. Okay. So now the time is up. I know I just value your time. So I just going to give the attendance form today. Okay. Just I think hope you will get it. And if you have any doubts, you can ask. And one more thing I want to tell for the TWD users. And someone asked me, is there any private you are working with some of the private courses, and if you have any personal guidance also, you asked for that, right? So actually we have done that. We are doing that. We are working on that. Okay, so we have completed our badge. Okay, so the new badge is going to be start from August. Okay, so who all are interested to learn, like if you want to interested in Marin stack development, if you want to learn all the concepts as a developer, you want to learn, you can personally join our personal guidance team. Okay, so I just give an information and all here, and this is all the information has been produced here. And you can also get all you can also get all the like okay, I think wait a minute, need, I think SAR is added. Okay. Okay, so this is our personal course. Okay, so we are guiding the student personally. Okay, so from here you have the syllabus here, you can get a docs here, and also you have a payment gateway, that is also an API. Okay, so that is what we have discussed now. And we have a payment if you go through the course, and if you have any doubt how many days course is this, and this is going to be, and next upcoming 4 days is going to be that. And totally there are 5 days course, this is going to be that. And after completing, there are already previously beginner level is completed, and also we have completed the DOM in our live classes, like 8 hours boot camp. Okay, so and how many days course this is? Okay, so you are asking for this private section, so this is going to be a 2 months course where you get your live doubts, you can clear it from us. Okay, the TWD team, and you can clear it, you can get a personal guidance from Navidu Biswas sir, and he is replying our message. He is our founder, and you can personally go through his LinkedIn. He is huge, and he's wrote so much of tech books. He has been returned, and he has been published it one of the famous Appress tech publishers are there, and he has been published. To go through his profile and consider how worth it's going to be. Okay, so if you have any decision to make it, that is 1 month, the minimum slots is going to be there, because we already have a previous slot, it is completely filled, and the course is done, we have finished out. And this is for August month and upcoming month. Okay, so upcoming August month. Okay, so all the details has been entered here. You're going to be at classes from Saturday to Saturday 6:30 to 10:30 live classes, and also you're going to have an live doubt clearing section for Wednesday to like every Wednesday 7:30 to 10 p.m. is there, and the document is entered. And if you have any queries, contact us personally in our LinkedIn field. Okay, so Biswasar, Navidu Biswasar is happy to help you all. Okay, so he is doing work, he has an experience in IT for 16 years. Consider if you have a mentor of 16 years experienced guy, So that's how I evolved. So I am also a student of TWD. So I attended a boot camp here and I won and I become the first and top 5 player performing player, and I won a personal gift from Nabidu Biswa sir. This is about a tech book, a project, 2,500 rupees both. I'm reading in that and I'm working on that. Right now I'm working as a member in TWD. Okay, so that's the power of TWD. Okay, so use that wisely. If you have any doubt, connect us in LinkedIn, and I see you all in the next classes too. Okay, so today if you have any doubt, just take a note and put it in my LinkedIn. I will clear you. Okay, so I will dare to help you and I will clear you. Okay, so see you. Bye. I think everyone is familiar with this. See you in the next session, and we cover so much of advanced concept more. Okay, so in the upcoming session. Okay, so time's up. Thank you. I think everyone familiar with that. Okay, thank you, Ankit. I hope you everyone here will come to LinkedIn and give some feedbacks and all. Okay, so thank you guys, thank you so much.